There we go. Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. I'm going to be painting on these knights. Something's going on with my ears. Got a little tinny echo. Yeah, I just got back in from taking the mail out. Had to ship some packages. Got them all taken care of, packed up this morning. I would have started at 9, but I noticed I had some packages that I had to box up and ship out. And so I went ahead and did that. How's everybody doing this morning? Everybody doing all right? I hope everybody's doing all right. Well, this video is going to be, not only is it going to be me painting, but it's also going to possibly turn into a store news update. I've been thinking about it. I could record my live stream, or at least a portion of it, and go through my store news update live, but then have a recording that I can upload as a separate video. And it would be just so much easier to do it that way. That way, if you're watching live, you get all the information and then you don't have to go watch that other video. But if you're not alive, if you don't like enjoy, or maybe you work during these hours and you can't get live, you could at least get caught up by watching the store news update without having to go through the full 2 hours of live, to get that information. So I don't know. I was thinking it would be helpful for the audience if I kind of broke the video up with a store news update, which usually takes about 15 to 30 minutes, and then finishing up on my painting and just news in general. Or I guess if there's any news, I would have said it during the store news update. All right, so I don't know if you could see all this because I got the camera kind of off, but I have a number, I don't even know how many there are, of 15 millimeter knights from three manufacturers. I've got Old Glory, Blue Moon, and I think they're called 19th Century. But I thought 19th Century owned Old Glory, so they're not battle honors. I think they're 19th century, or they're called 19th century models or something like that. But and then over here I've got Perry. These are Perry plastics that I put together one night. These are going to go on sale. These Perrys are all going to go on sale on the store. I'm going to group them as 5 knights. I'm going to put 5 knights in a lot. So there's 20 here, so there's going to be 4 lots of 5. Um, Generic uh, medieval knights that you could put in any of your armies or uh, whatever you want to do. And I decided that I was going to skirmish them. I put them on 1-inch circles. These guys are going to be mounted for Meg. These are all going to be part of my English. That's not true. They're not all going to be English. Let me back that up. Um, these are going to be part of my English and French. Some of them I'm going to paint as English men-at-arms that go in the archery, the longbow men-at-arms combo units. Others are going to be, there's going to be one unit of just pure men-at-arms. And then the rest are going to be dismounted knights for my French. I think there's 2 units. Yeah, something like that. On some of these guys with shields, I'm going to say about 50% of them have shields. I think somewhere in that neighborhood. They're going to get decals. Little big men, 15 mil knights decals. But the majority, they're almost all finished. Almost. The majority of them is just metal, right? Because they're fully armored, head to toe. Except for a few of them. There's a few of them that are, they look like they don't belong. Like maybe this guy and this guy and this guy. They're halberdiers. They kind of look like halberdiers. They've got the puff and slash outfit, so they kind of look a little bit like Landsknechts. They might be Swiss related. It's hard to tell. But I threw them in there. They were in the bags for the that the rest came in. They were included, so why not? And plus, it'll put a little variety, a little color on the unit. I organized these and I put them on popsicle sticks, either 6 or like that one has, these two have 4s. And that was going to work out really good because one popsicle stick is 2 groups of 3 for the archery men-at-arms. But then then I realized that this is not 2 units. This is 1 unit because 2 bases is half the archery unit. So 5 sticks wound up being the 5 men-at-arms, I guess, security for the longbowmen. And then I realized, and then I just straight up men-at-arms needs 4 figures per base. But there's going to be a full 4 bases, so I needed 16 models. So 2 6s and a 4 wound up being the 4 bases, and that's what these 2 guys were. uh, and then 2 of these sticks is 2 units, right? Because I decided to put 8 on a stick, so I got the bigger sticks out. Um, but I'm a little confused because this is one too many units, I think, or maybe not, because the English are only allowed to have 1 dismounted or men-at-arms unit. That's not part of the archeries. That's the English, and the French can have up to 32 bases. Um, and this is only 12 bases, right? 4 bases each. So that's 12 out of 32. So all these could be French. But the French, I just thought it was like remarkable or astronomical that they can have up to 32 bases of men-at-arms. I was like, wow, that's a lot of freaking bases. But then again, the English have a lot of longbowmen, so it kind of supposed to, with points and everything, should balance out. But I don't know if it will or not. Now I tried a variety of different metallics, right? I've got cold steel from P3. I used plate mail from Army Painter. Silver. I used chainmail silver from Vallejo on almost all of these. But my favorite, maybe this is it. No, that's gunmetal. Plate mail metal from Army Painter, or War Paints Army Painter. That's what these guys are painted with, right? These guys are all painted with chainmail silver. The new mix, and it's labeled as a primer, which I thought was kind of unusual. But and when I got started painting them, I thought this was going to be a really good color. But now looking at it, I think I like the plate mail metal for plate mail. That's weird, right? That a paint labeled plate mail is the best looking one for plate mail. And I guess in the Middle Ages they wouldn't have called it plate mail. That's a D&D term. They would have called it plate armor or plate, just plate. And chainmail is not chain mail. It's either chain armor or it's mail armor. It's not chain mail. That's also a D&D term. That's not accurate. But it was an easy way to differentiate different armors in D&D for the player, because they had something called plate mail, which is it's a mixture of plate and chainmail. And I said it again. I just said it. I just that it's actually chain. A plate and chain is called plate mail, and but if you're wearing full armor, full plate armor all the way from head to toe, they called that full plate. Which full plate, that's a reasonable term. That I could accept that. Okay, that's empty. So now I didn't try. I didn't try any natural steel, and I'm still considering taking some experimenting a little bit. I'm still experimenting. I want it to be perfect. These guys, they're already pretty much perfect on the way they look. But since these guys are my personal collection, these guys are the ones going in my armies. I'm not for sale. You know, that I'm going to use for my medieval armies. I want them to be perfect. So I think I was thinking I was going to dry brush natural steel on a couple of these guys just to see what it looks like. Maybe paint a couple of them with this. Maybe dry brush some with this. And if it looks really good, then I'll do and I don't really dry. It's not going to be a full dry brush. It's more like a wet brush over the entire thing. But if it doesn't look good, then I think what I'm going to do is use the plate mail and do like a wet brush on these guys. Because this chainmail silver is actually, as you can see, it's darker than this. I think it would be really good as like a metal shadow. Right? Like black, I'm going to, and that's another thing. Okay. Let me lead up to what I've done. I started with a brush gray primer, right? I used the Vallejo gray surface primer. That's how I got them started. That was, and I did that on all of these. And then I went over them with a dark brown, black brown, right? This super dark brown. I went over them entirely. You can see some of the brown on the popsicle sticks, but I completely covered them with black brown, knowing that I was going to go with a metallic silverish color, and metallic silver doesn't go on top of white or light gray very well. It goes on top of black perfect. And black brown gives it a little bit of a dirtier look, a little bit of a rustier look. So I did the black brown, and then I did I tested on these guys the 4 different colors, and I really loved the plate mail metal on these guys. It just came out looking the best, I thought. With a close second being the chainmail silver, but it was just a little darker. And I don't know why I didn't want to just do the plate mail metal on all of these. I don't know why I felt like I needed to do the chainmail silver. But I did. Okay, I think this is going to be a really good brush for the, yeah, it's pretty stiff, but it's also kind of soft. For these guys. Okay, we're going to use this brush later, so I know I'm going to use it later for some detailing. Okay, so natural steel. We're going to experiment. I didn't use natural steel at all in my test, and I'm not really sure why I didn't. Maybe because I'm a bonehead? I don't know. Okay, we're not doing, this is kind of wet. Like very thin, it felt like. It felt like it was very thin. Yeah, when I look at these guys close, I'm like, damn, that metallic looks really good. The chainmail silver looks really good. It looks as good as the plate mail, you know? It just looks good. But on these littler figures, at a distance, it looks darker. Okay. All right, natural steel. Let's see what you look like. Now I got to be careful because I've already done flesh on all of these models. Okay, that natural steel, it looks too much like a silver on a full paint. But on a dry brush, I don't know what it'll look like. Not a dry brush, it's just a wet brush, you know. Because I do kind of want to lighten it up a little bit. Because I still have to apply a wash. And when I apply a wash, it's going to darken up the model. That's what I'm afraid of. I want to get that pre-wash shine. Now, some of these guys are wearing tabards, and some of them aren't. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think the shine or the lightening of the model is worth the effort. There is a slight bit of lightening. You know what I'm talking about. It does get rid of a little bit of the darkness, but not a lot. It's very subtle. So I don't know if it's really worth, I don't think it's worth the extra effort. Plus, once I put the wash on, I can always come back in and highlight. Bring them up a little bit if I think the wash is too dark. Okay. Now I've already done flesh on all these guys. Any exposed faces where their helmets are raised or hands that might be exposed, because there's a couple of these Swiss looking guys that I think the hands were exposed. Okay, now speaking of tabards, I plan to paint all the tabards white, because later I'm going to go in with other colors like yellow and blue and red and green, and they'll look best on top of white. But also, some of these tabards are going to be white, first of all, and then some of them are going to be a split white and some other color, or yellow and some other color. And white is a good base color for all of those. Now, after I do the white, I'm going to start my store news update. I'll turn on the recording and we'll do a store news update. Now this, even though it's in a Citadel, and you can see it's one of these hex bottles from the 80s or whatever, the 90s. It's 99% not Citadel white. There might still be some Citadel white remnants in there, but it's mostly other white paints that I've added to this bottle, just using the bottle. I think it's mostly this apple barrel white, I think. I'm just guessing. But I know I've added some apple barrel into this white. Okay, I'm not painting their pants or their sleeves. Only tabards. The pants and the sleeves are going to get painted. They're just going to get painted straight over the metal. Also, some of these guys are going to be wearing white belts, but most of them, if not all of them, well, most of them, 90% of them, are going to be wearing leather belts, leather colored belts, if you get me. But I was thinking some of them I'll paint like red or green or blue belts. Just random. Same thing with the scabbards. Most of them will be leather, but some will be colored. And the white doesn't have to go on perfect because the wash is going to hit a lot of it. And I want it to be kind of off color, dingy, or what's the word for it? Not dirty, worn. And the Perry models were kind of a little bit of a pain to put together, I'm going to have to admit. The weapon arms, um, they were kind of like, it was hard to match them up. I got it. It happened, but it was just not as easy as just slapping them on. Now remember, my armies are for the Agincourt, or I should say, 100 Years' War period, early and late. And all the dismounted knights and men at arms, they all have this ability called two-handed cut and crush, which implies that they're all carrying two-handed weapons. But when you buy a dismounted knight in a package, only a handful of them come with two-handed weapons. They're almost all carrying like a single-handed weapon and a shield. And now there are some like the Blue Moon you can buy with where they're all carrying two-handed weapons. Or like there's an Old Glory set called knights, dismounted knights on caparisoned horses, which I thought was, why would you say dismounted knights on caparisoned horses? Because there's no horses in the set. And that's actually kind of irrelevant. But they're all carrying like these two-handed spear looking things. What do they call it? Foot lances, I think what they call it. Which is a two-handed weapon. So that's a step in the right direction. This guy's got a bever, so I didn't notice that when I was painting the back, but that's okay. Got him squared away. You know, like this guy, he's got a two-handed like lance. And none of them are carrying shields. And you know, my traditional brain is saying that knights all carried a shield. Well, that's not really true. Because once they got to a certain period where all their opponents are wearing like full plate, they realized that one-handed weapons just wasn't going to cut it, literally. They needed something more deadly. So they all started carrying two-handed weapons. I'm hearing an argument outside. I don't know if you can hear that on the microphone, but my neighbor is talking to someone. They might not be arguing, but they are heated, or I should say excited about something. But that doesn't concern me. Because if it did, he'd be coming over here and he'd be saying, "Hey, Derek, what the hell?" Most of the snow has melted away. The temperature is actually really nice outside today. Because when I went out to the mail, I was like, damn, this is a beautiful day. I might have to go for a walk later this afternoon. Because there's no snow on the roads. There's still snow on the grass. Yeah, they're giggling out there, so they're not arguing. They're just having a heated. Let me rephrase that. They're having a loud conversation. Let's say that. I said heated, but that's not really true. It's just they're just loud. If I was if I was so inclined, I could eavesdrop on their conversation. It's that loud. So I want to talk about my YouTube channel just for a second. Um, if you haven't noticed, late at night, around midnight or so, I've been live streaming Star Citizen. I've been doing it for a couple of months now, and I'm getting a lot of interest. When I say that, I mean there's a lot of people watching, and that's a good thing, right? That's outstanding. Whenever I do a recorded uh, miniature video, I get a lot of views. So when I say 200 is a lot, I mean, that's what I mean. To me, 200 is a lot. 10 or 15 or something like that, that's not really a lot. That's just, to me, that's just like an all right amount, you know? But when I see that I've got a video that I upload and it's got 200 views on it, I'm like, oh, okay, people want to see more of that. But okay, here comes the but. I really want to play a couple of different games. And I've had people ask me, do you play anything else other than Star Citizen, when I'm online? And I say, yeah, I play like IL-2 and XCOM and stuff like that. And they were like, oh, okay, cool. But then I got this itch to play a game that I never finished called Skyrim. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I say that facetiously because I know everyone's heard of it. But I've never finished it. I've played it. I made it to level 20 or 30 or something like that. I don't know what level I made it to. But I think I made it about halfway through the game and then stopped. Started playing other games. And I never went back to it. And part of the reason why is I was new to modding a game, applying mods, like different armor types that you could craft or different followers that you could recruit, changing the trees to look more realistic and stuff like that, right? Well, I went on a not a bender, but basically I went on a wild modding spree, and I applied tons of mods to the game, mainly just to fix things. When I say fix, I mean like the water, making it look more realistic, the trees, things like that. And one of the mods I applied was to a city. And when I went to that city, because I modded it, at the beginning of the game, but when I went to that city, it was broken. You'd fall through the floor, or you couldn't go into the tavern because the door didn't line up, or the floor was too tall, or there was a lot of problems with that mod. And there were patches and fixes and all this stuff to the mod. I tried every which way from to Sunday trying to figure out how to fix this. I even tried uninstalling the mod, but the town still stayed broken. And I had played, or I'd gone to that town in the past before I applied that mod, and it wasn't broken. It was just, the generic town or whatever. And I think that partially impacted how far I wanted to get in this game, because some of my quests relied on that town. And there were also some missions or quests that I couldn't complete because the quest item or whatever was not where it was supposed to be, or it was, and I couldn't interact with it, or whatever. I basically started to get frustrated with the game, mainly because of the way I had modded it. And I was new to modding, so I knew I was messing up somewhere. And then last week, maybe not even a week ago, just a few days ago, I said, you know what, I'm going to get back in this game. I am going to mod some things, you know, mainly visuals, because I really want to play this game. I really want to finish it. But I'm going to have to be really cognizant, really careful about what I mod. Okay, all the Perrys have got their white whatchamadoolies. Now, I'm going to paint all of their shields white, mainly because, same thing, they're going to be colored in various ways, but also because Little Big Men shields go on top of the white. Okay, a little bit of a news before we get into the news in my store news update. I was afraid that I was only going to be able to buy 28 millimeter Little Big Men shields from Victrix, because I don't know if you knew this, but Victrix had bought Little Big Men shields, or I'm sorry, Little Big Men decals. The company, the rights to all the, basically the rights to all their decals and shields and banners and all that. But Little Big Man does, you can't see me painting, but that's all right. You don't really need to. They do more than just 28 millimeter. And Victrix, well, Victrix also does more than 28, but only bigger. They go 28 and 40, I think. Now, Victrix already had like an exclusive right to decals for their own models, but now they have the rights to all the decals. And I think the guy that ran Little Big Man had some health issues, decided he wasn't able to keep up with the orders or something like that. So it gave him incentive to sell the company. And I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to get my 15 millimeter decals anymore. But just a couple of nights ago, you know, I got an email from Victrix saying, we now carry Little Big Men decals. But I already knew that, right? So I went to their business website where, you know, that's where I put my orders in. And they had a section for Little Big Men decals. That was the whole reason why I went there, actually, just to see, not to actually place an order. And it had a drop down, and I saw the word scale, and I was like, I was like, okay, what's this all about? And it had 15 millimeter. And I clicked it. And I was like, okay, they got 15 millimeter decals. And they listed them all. All the ones that I had bought in the past or whatever. And now, not only did they have 15 millimeter decals, but they were wholesale. Because in the past, all my little big men decals were retail. And I was like, oh, now I can start actually ordering these and carrying them in my store. But then I kind of just scanned around just to see if they had ones that I would normally order. And they were all sold out. There was a couple of them that were in stock, but almost all of them were sold out. So maybe that's just because they just got them and they hadn't been able to print any of them. But if they were going to print them to order, like you order it and then we'll print it, it shouldn't say sold out. It should say print to order. Knowing that I could order it, I just have to wait a minute while they print them. You know what I mean? But I'm excited. They had them on there. They're making progress. You know, they only bought them a couple of months ago, so the business sites already got them listed and they got wholesale prices on them. And I'm going to start carrying little big men decals for all the lines that I carry. If you have a specific little big men shield series or something like that you're looking for, let me know. So that I can get them in stock. Or try to. All right, now I started this conversation earlier about how I've got a bunch of different manufacturers on these sticks, right? I've got Old Glory, 19th Century, Blue Moon. And I want to point something out. These 19th century knights are the worst knights I've ever seen in 15 millimeter. I would not recommend buying them. I would not recommend, or I should say, I will not be ordering them again for the store. I had them. I still need more knights, you know, because like I said, the French had, you could have up to 32 bases. I need hundreds more knights. I had them on the shelf, and I said, hey, I'll just grab these knights and I'll use them. Well, that was a mistake. Blue Moon are probably still my favorite. Old Glory has got a lot of good ones. A lot of good poses, a lot of good molds. But those 19th century, they are crap. And I don't mind saying it. They need to fire the... Oh, okay. Or they need to relabel them and get some new molds and not list them as historical. For some reason, they give me fantasy vibes. And they also give me elf vibes. They're like elf, like a full plate elf. Because they're super skinny and they're angular. It's like the artist didn't know what a curve was. Everything is sharp edges. The weapons are like Final Fantasy size. They're like really horrible looking. The body proportions just don't, they are not right. They almost look like robots. Some of their heads are like as big as their chest. Now I get that a knight would have a helmet that's really big. I get you. But these are like not big. These are huge. But I'm driving on with them. There's only about 30 of them in this whole set. So I've got them scattered throughout. And some of their shield designs are just not very historical. Well, there might have been someone carrying a shield with that pattern, or it's possible. Like this one guy right here that I'm putting a white shield on. He's actually got a pretty cool, he's actually pretty cool compared to the rest. But there's only one of him. And his weapon is probably still just a little bit too big. I have a feeling the artist doesn't know anything about the Middle Ages. for how things actually worked. Do you remember the old Grenadier 15 millimeter Traveler miniatures with the aliens that they had? It's kind of what these knights look like. Oh man. But if you relabel them, if they relabel them as 15 millimeter fantasy knights, I mean, I would have a little bit more, I would have more forgiveness. But these are listed as like medieval knights. I think I'm going to have to mix up this white a little bit. I'm starting to see streaks, brush strokes. Which, if you put a strategic brushstroke in the right spot, it'll look like a damage to the shield. Because you'll put the transparent Little Big Men shield decal on it, and that spot where the brushstroke is will kind of shine through a little bit, and it'll look like damage. Okay, after this stick, I'm gonna So I looked up, I did a little research. There's this thing on a helmet, looks like a wreath, right? And I looked it up thinking that only the English wore those. Because you'll see them in all the, like, English knights. Perry has English knights or whatever, and his English knights, their helmets have these little padded halos on them. I looked them up. I found out that they're called torse, and It didn't really have any practical purpose. Some people speculate that knights would wear them to hold their crest in place. They would affix them to their helmets, not just, they're just not resting on top. They're actually tied down so they don't go flying off in the middle of combat. Some people said it was extra padding because they get hit in the head a lot. That's pretty much debunked. But they were always in their heraldry. There were usually two colors, like white and red, or yellow and blue, or whatever. And if you're not carrying a shield, or if you don't have a tabard on, it would kind of be the only way for someone to identify which side you were on. And some people say they were listed as they were marked as a unit color, and I don't really mean unit, but like your lord's color. And you fought with all your lord's knights together. So everybody would have their own heraldry, but then they would be wearing their lord's color on their head to show what unit they were in. And I thought that was a more likely scenario. And that's how I'm going to. And I also found out that it was not just an English thing. The French did that as well. That was the main reason why I looked it up. Because I was like, I've got to, not half of them, but a lot of these models have those torsos on. And I was afraid that I was going to have to go back and pick out all the torso models and only use them in the English army. And then what that's going to do, it's going to limit the pose selection, because only a handful of the poses had that. And so I was going to screw myself. But I was like, what? Did the French wear those too? And that's what I was looking for. And it shows that every nation wore them. The Germans, the French, even the Swiss, English, the French, the Burgundians, they all had them. And you'll see them on heraldric banners and hangings and pictures. You know how there's usually the supporters and then the helmet sitting on top of your shield or whatever when you display your heraldry. There we go. No more brushstroke lines. So I'm actually glad that I don't have to break out those models and only put them in the English army. I can leave them where they're at. Okay, I just feel like it, but this guy's got he's got sleeves, but he's got a breastplate on, so I'm not going to paint the breastplate. But he's also got these pants that go all the way down. And I want to paint those because I have a feeling I'm going to paint them two colored. And then he's got these little tassets in the front, but he has no cuisse. That's right. I know my medieval armor names. I did a little bit of medieval armor work when I was in the SCA. We built all kinds of different armor. Not like the professionals. I didn't like have a forge and a billows, and I didn't use like snap freezing or anything like that, where a lot of guys nowadays have these freezers that they put armor in. I don't have anything like that. Basically, I just took steel, cold rolled steel. I had patterns that I would cut out of the, cut out of the steel using a Beverly shear. And once we got the Beverly shear and stopped using jigsaws, my armor production went up tenfold. Okay, this guy's whole outfit is not armored. Looks like he might be wearing a chain shirt. Underneath his clothes. You got two layers of clothes because you got a sleeve coming out from the underside of his tabard. I don't anticipate finishing these today. Or not even tonight, because I'll paint on them again all the way up till midnight. Man, there was a couple of things that I started talking about that I kind of drifted off into something else, didn't it? Okay, well, let me tell you what I did. I painted these guys brown, right? And then I used a brown wash on them, a dark brown wash, because that brought out all the little details that okay, to help me with my painting, right? And then I went over with I tested all the different metal colors to see which ones I wanted and stuff like that. And I settled on chainmail silver because I didn't want, believe it or not, chainmail silver is actually darker than plate mail. And because I wanted my armor, I didn't want it to be shiny like silver. I wanted it to be a little bit darker, a little bit blackmail-y, you know. Because I don't know if you knew this, but that was kind of a technique that medieval armorers would use as a prevention, as a rust prevention. They would soak the armor in oil and then put it in a fire, and the oil would, like, what do you call it, affix to the metal, and it was kind of like a medieval bluing. Nowadays we use chemicals to do what we call bluing techniques, mostly on guns, because we don't use armor nowadays. And in the SCA, we would take people's helmets, soak them in oil. This is before we put padding in them and all that. And we would use motor oil. And then we would put them on a grill. Not actually in a fire, just superheated. And, you know, and we would blow air on it to get it to be hotter and stuff like that. But it basically put a really cool bluing. It actually worked. It gave it kind of a sheen. Like, have you ever had oil in water and you kind of see that blue ripply looking, I don't know, chemical appearance in the water? You know, it looks like a rainbow. Well, that's what this armor would look like. And yes, did it prevent rust? Yeah, I've never seen any of them rust. Except where they might have gotten hit really hard and it might have dented the metal. That spot would develop rust. But the rest of the helmet would not. And it would be up to the owner to make sure his shit was clean. But in the Middle Ages, when you wore that chainmail and it had that bluing effect on it, it would look black. Which brings me to a lot of times in a tournament or in a war, in the case where you might be captured or something like that, where there was a need for a negotiation, a lot of times people would trade their armor for their freedom, or trade their armor because it's super expensive, right? They would trade their armor as a prize for losing a tournament. And that trade was called blackmailing. And that term is still in use today. But it has nothing to do with armor. It's just cash. A little anecdote. Man, I got blackmailed. Meaning, I had to give up my armor for freedom. Okay, this guy's wearing a cape. Or a cloak, or a... It looks like a cape. It looks like a Superman cape. Maybe if I put an S on the back, he can be my medieval Superman. I probably shouldn't do that. I'm playing a historical game, not fantasy. I mean, nobody would know or care because they wouldn't see it. It'd be in a unit somewhere. But I'm going to put him as one of my commanders. He's standing there, he's pointing. He's got a torch. And a cape. Speaking of capes, I used to wear a tunic over my armor. And it had what's called angel wings. Now, all the historical reference for angel wings were fairly small, maybe a foot. But I was watching this video of a knight fighting in the SCA in California. And he had these angel wings. And that's what really got me started. I was like, oh man, I really like that outfit. I said, oh man, that's awesome. I want that. I want that bad. So I made these angel wings. And I made them out of... Actually, my wife probably did all the sewing. But I made it out of twill, I think is what it's called. It's like a super heavy fabric. It's very close to being canvas. It's not canvas, but it's like super close to that. And my angel wings, with my arms down, right, would hang down to about my knee. These are sleeves that were so baggy and bulky that I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to fight in them. But I didn't care. I said to myself, looks are more important. I want to look badass. So I got these made. They were super huge. They hung down to my knees. Now, when I raised my arms up, like in a fighting stance or something like that, they would hang down probably around my belt line, somewhere in that neighborhood. And when people went to strike me, let's say they just did a standard, side swipe strike against my midsection, inevitably it would hit these angel wings. And because these angel wings were so heavy, it would slow the sword swipe down to the point where I wouldn't feel like it was strong enough to cut through chainmail. Because that's the rule in the SCA. When you get struck somewhere, you have to use your honor to make a determination if you think that strike was hard enough to have cut through chainmail. And if you feel it was not hard enough, meaning it was a pussy blow, or weak, or glancing, then you did not call that and you just kept fighting. And there's no rule against angel wings. And I fought with them for a while, and they did not slow me down. Because, I guess because of the placement of the wings, it would apply placement on my elbows, but my elbow didn't move that much. I mean, it did move, don't get me wrong. The elbow tells the tale of where your blow is going. So when you're watching your opponent, you're watching his elbows. And because my angel wings basically concealed my elbows, plus my elbows didn't move that much because I knew people would be watching them anyway, it didn't affect my fighting at all. It didn't slow me down. It didn't cause my shield to be slow. None of that. So I loved them. And I had this one princess. I call her a princess because I think she was I think she was a princess at one time or something like that. Ranks change in the SCA quite a bit, based on like tournaments and things like this. But I was fighting, and she had a pole arm, and she went to thrust. This is a specific battle I remember. She went to thrust straight for my stomach. And I think, I'm trying to remember exactly what the outcome, well, I know what the outcome was. I killed her. But the circumstances were, I would block with my shield. I think I missed the block, but because my arm was across my body, her spear had was caught up in my angel wing sleeve, and it did not strike my body at all. And I closed in on her and killed her because her spear was caught up in my clothing. And after the fact, after I killed her, she kept saying, I killed you, I killed you. I struck you in the stomach. And you'll get a lot of that. You in the SCA, you will get a lot of, I killed you. You didn't hit me. I didn't hit you hard enough, or whatever. Right? There's a lot of whining because it's on the person's honor whether or not he feels he was struck hard enough, not your honor. That's why the knights and everybody else were on my side. There's no rule against having big sleeves. He said it might be a dick move to have a big sleeve like that, but there's no rule against it. And I didn't think it was a dick move. I just thought it was... I mean, I felt a little guilty. Don't get me wrong. I felt a little guilty for robbing her of her kill. But on the other hand, the knights were on my side because they always say, strike him hard enough where there's no questions. Make him have no doubts in his mind whether or not you killed him or not. Remove all doubt. That's the philosophy. And she did not do that. She didn't even touch me, to be honest. I wasn't even touched. The sleeve was touched. I said, I can't call a blow against my sleeve if it doesn't touch my body. I'm not going to die with a gut wound if it doesn't actually hit me. And we won that tournament. It's a team. Okay, that was a Tourney of the Foxes. I don't know if you know anything about the Tourney of the Foxes, but there's a tourney once a year called Tourney of the Foxes. And you have to build a team. It's a team sport. It's a team. I'm trying to remember. I think it's 5 on a team. Might be 3, but it might be 4. I think it's 5 though. And it's whichever team, the last man standing. And it's team on team, and you advance rounds, and you have to fight multiple teams and stuff like that. We had Sir Ludwig was on our team. Angus was on our team. I can't remember the other ones. Those are the only guys I remember on our team. But we won that year. And that's a big deal. That's a little bit of a status boost. If your team can win at Tourney of the Foxes, it does a couple of things. It tells them that you're good fighters, but it also says that you can work as a team. And what's funny is our team was filled with a bunch of, we were a pickup team. We were like 5 people that didn't have a team. So we got together and formed a team. That's what made that fight even more impressive. And don't get me wrong, Sir Ludwig is a good fighter. Much better than a lot of the other knights that fought in that tournament. And I think Sir Ludwig and myself were the last 2 standing on that. I remember another fight in that tournament stands out to me. Oh, these guys have like tunics on? I mean, or is it tunics under a breastplate? Hang on, what the heck am I looking at? Oh, those are full sleeves and everything. Okay. All right. I got legged, which means, I had to drop down to my knees, and I would be allowed to fight from my knees, from the ground. And then the fight moved to the other side of the field. But everybody had their back to me. The enemy had their back to me. So I just casually, slowly but surely, not crawled, but kind of crawled, limped on my knees across the battlefield, because I can still get involved in the fight. I just can't stand up. And I was sneaking up on these guys because they didn't suspect. They thought that I was dead and all the way on the other side, not dead, but out of the fight. They would come kill me when they got done with the rest of my team. And I snuck up behind them, and all you have to do is basically touch them and tell them they're dead. And the crowd started cheering. Like, yeah, this is awesome. But part of that cheer was, look out behind you. He's going to kill you. Watch out. That kind of stuff. I don't remember exactly what was said, but that was basically the gist. And each time one of them turned around to see what was going on behind them, which was me, my team would kill them. So even though I didn't get any kills from behind, I caused enough distraction that our team did get those kills. We won. And if they didn't turn around, I was going to kill them from behind. I was going to tap on them and say, hey, you're dead. I got a lot of stories like that. I played a lot in the SCA. I played in Germany. I got involved when I was in Italy. Came back to the States. Got really involved in the States. And then when I got married and we moved back to Germany, I continued to be involved. And then I got involved in Nashville. And Clarksville. So I was in a lot of different groups. And there's an advantage of that. You learn a lot of different things. Because the fighting techniques and styles that I learned while I was in Germany served me well when I moved back to Clarksville. Mainly because these are two different kingdoms and they didn't, they weren't familiar with each other's fighting technique or style. And it helped a lot when I went to tournaments and when I fought mass battles. Now, don't get me wrong, I loved me some fighting some tournaments, but I preferred mass battles. I preferred teamwork. I was I'm good at being a follower and I'm good at being a leader. So depending on where they put me, I excelled. There was this one battle that Angus was with me, and I told Angus, whatever happens, don't leave my side. You and me. You know, we ride or die together. And he was okay with that. Well, he expected it because we were both part of the same unit or mercenary unit. And we got into a situation where it was just him and I fighting like whole units. And we were winning. And not only winning, we were more of a spoiler, I guess is what you would call it. Or that's what I felt like we needed to do. Like we would be on a flank, not trying to accomplish anything, just trying not to die. or preventing them from accomplishing something. And in one case, this was a border raids. They were trying to get into the building. There were like, it was supposed to be like a little village. They had built these little buildings out of hay bales. And part of the objective was to take the village. And our army was on the other side of no man's land. I don't know where they were at. But Angus and I were right there in the middle of the village, protecting like all the buildings, not occupying any of them, just preventing the enemy from occupying any of them. And when it was all said and done, the enemy approached us, and knowing that I was in charge and moving Angus around and not really not fighting. Well, we would fight, but we weren't just charging into the middle of a fight and dying. Our main purpose was to stay alive in a spot that prevented them from getting past us or whatever. It was, you kind of get the idea. But I was asked, "Are you a Duke?" And I was like, "No." And they said, "Well, because you fight like one." And I felt like that was the biggest compliment that I had received ever in the SCA. And then after thinking about it, it could have been, and I'm not going to take it this way, but it could have been kind of offhanded insult, because that person might not have liked Dukes or the way Dukes fight. And if you're not familiar with what a Duke is in the SCA, he's been king twice. Which means he's been to this Duke character, whoever he might be. First of all, he won a tournament to become king twice. And those tournaments are usually the hardest tournaments, the crown list, because all the good fighters go to become king. And then once you're king, you go to all the wars. And there's usually about 6 or 7 of them. Okay, I'm not able to get in there very good. Hold on. Give me some light. All right, I'm in there. And if I was a Duke, that means I've been to about 10 or 12 or something like that wars as the man in charge, the king. And you're an exceptional fighter because you won these tournaments. So to me, being called, you fight like a Duke, I felt like that was a compliment. But on the other hand, I can see where someone might consider it an insult because dukes think they run the show. They think they're super important or they have swell heads. And he might have thought, hey, this guy, he's got a swelled head. He fights like a duke. But I didn't take it that way. And I don't think he meant it that way. I think he meant it like as a compliment. Like, damn, man, you stopped us from getting those that village, and you did all the right things and fight like a duke. Like someone who knows that it's more important to hold the objective than to run out there and get killed. I didn't realize there was this many guys with tunics. I thought it was all armor. I thought I'd be done with this white by now. Now, I haven't looked at the chat. Oh, there's one. And I've missed going back and fighting. Fighting was the best part of the SCA for me. And I miss it a lot. But I have a problem with one of the local knights. It almost came down to me actually getting into fisticuffs with this guy. Is that not painted? Wait, what the heck's going on here? Nope, I guess not. Okay. I was like, oh no, I'm going to get it on the hammer's handle. That's okay. I'm still going to paint that. He basically, we got into such a disagreement that I quit his household. I moved on. And basically, everyone that he was associated with took his side. My wife took his side without even being there. And it got me so frustrated that I didn't want to play anymore. And I basically just dropped out. Okay. Chat. What do we got going on down here? Hey, Barnes. Hello. How are you doing? I assume you're doing all right. You don't have to respond to that. Unless, something else is going on. Yeah, once I get this white done on these two strips. Wait a second. I don't know if I hit their shields. I know now that I did because they don't have any. So it's been a while, and that's put a strain on my wife and I's relationship to the point where I think it's irreconcilable. It's been a couple of times that it's come up, and it's always been she plays the idiot. Well, I don't know what's going on. You got to tell me these things. Hold on. I've already told, this is I've already told you a number of times. Because even though I dropped out, I stopped going. She continues to go. And I don't blame her for that because it's freaking fun as hell. But she still associates with these people, this knight and his household. And I bring it up. I say, hey, you're still associating with this knight and his household. And they're the reason why I stopped going. And then she asked me a question. Do you want me to stop going? I should have just came out and said yes. But I didn't. What I said to her was, I want you to want to stop going. And she's like, okay, then I'm going to keep going. And the reason why I dropped out, it wasn't because I didn't like the SCA. I love the SCA. And if I had a guarantee that this knight or any of his associates would not be at any of these events that I go to, I would gladly go to these events and I would have a good time. But I went to a couple of events and he and his cronies were there. And it's not just that he was there, but they would make it a point to mess with me. And that's when I made the decision to stop going. Why am I going to pay good money to go to these events to have someone like that make my experience shitty? I would go to these events because they were fun, not because I wanted to be ridiculed or harassed. So I stopped going. Yeah, so if you're new to the channel, if you haven't ever seen anything, like I'm noticing some names I haven't seen before. I do a couple of things on the channel. I do medieval, I'm sorry, let me back up. That's what I'm doing today. But I do miniature painting. I have done tutorials in the past. I show off the projects that I'm working on. I talk about different rule sets, which ones I like, which ones I don't. We talk about miniature lines, which ones I like, which ones I don't. And, okay, I got another stick. But I also play computer games. And I'll live stream, or sometimes I'll record and upload those later. It just depends. It's all gaming, really. I have done some role playing on stream. I haven't really done that in a long time. Ever since I had my heart attack. I would love to jump into somebody else's game and play, but I don't want to run a game. That's not true. I would love to run a game. I just don't feel up to it. So mainly I'm playing games, recording them, and uploading them, or I'm live streaming them. Or I'm doing something miniature related. Now, I also have an eBay store where I will sell painted miniatures, but also new in the bag or box. So if you're looking for a specific miniature or something like that, let me know. I might be able to get a hold of it. Or check my eBay store. I might already have it. .15mm and 28mm are the scales I focus on. My personal armies are all 15mm. I've been wanting to do some Oathmark fantasy stuff in 28mm, but I keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So I don't know if I'm ever going to do that. Mainly because Napoleonics, World War II, and Ancients is a lot. There is a lot of Napoleonic figures that I still need to paint. World War II, I'm pretty much up to speed on my World War II. Ancients, oh yeah, and American War of Independence. I have an American War of Independence project that I'm running right now, but I put it on hold for 2 months, January and February, to let me paint some of my 100 Years War models. I said January and February, I'm going to paint 100 Years War. And then we'll go back to AWI. I'm also writing my own rules for Napoleonics. I've gone through a few changes. Primarily in basing. Like, how do I want to base these guys? I've gone through like 3 or 4 different methods of basing, and I've settled on a specific basing style. I've committed to it. So the rest of the rules should come a lot easier. I've written all the rules. I've got all the rules written down. But they're not where I want them. I think I'm going to have to go in and change some of the rules based on how I'm basing my models. Movement, weapon ranges, all that stuff is pretty much the same, but I'm going to have to rejigger it to match with my basing that I'm going to be doing because of change formations and stuff like that. I might dedicate March to my rule set. So I might do some Napoleonic painting or rebasing in March. But I also know that I want to work on my American War of Independence. I want to get them finished. Well, first of all, they'll never always be finished. Because even though you get a bunch of units done, there's always more. But I love the way Land of the Free, I love their basing convention. I really do. I love the Land of the Free basing. And I even considered it for my game because, I was like, oh, I love this so much, I should use it. But it doesn't really work for what I'm trying to do with the rules. And that was part of the reason, part of the delay was me trying to get the land of the freebasing to work for my rules. But they don't. They work excellent for the size of the units that are in American War of Independence and the formations that are allowed in American War of Independence. But in Napoleonics, I need a bigger variety. I needed more flexibility. So that basing won't work. I even considered a hybrid. No, it wouldn't work either. Okay, this stick is almost done. And when I am done with it, I'm going to start recording, because right now I'm just streaming. I'm going to start recording and go over a store news update. And then later this evening or this afternoon, I'll take that recording and I'll upload it as a separate video. I'll edit out what I need to edit out. For those people that don't have the time to hang out in a live stream, okay, let me fix whatever I need to fix. Uh-huh. So just understand that I'm going to have about 15 to 30 minutes of me talking to the camera, and I'm not really going to be interacting with the chat. This is a recording for my channel that I'm going to be posting later. All right, so I got all their tunics with the white on them ready to be colorized with green, blue, reds, and stuff like that. All right, let me take the gloves off. These gloves cause my hands to really sweat. And I don't know, you can see the shine on the inside of these gloves. But that basically makes my hand... I got a new blister. Wow, okay. Let me fix that blister before we get going. Because it's not popped, I'm not going to pop it. That's the medical advice is don't pop it. Put a Band-Aid on it to pad it. Prevent it from popping through normal use. And then it'll eventually go away. I don't think I've ever had a blister in that on that knuckle. That close to my palm. All right, it's padded. Okay, wrong glasses for seeing what I'm doing. I'm going to turn this light off because it's kind of a backlight. There we go. What do we got, Barnes? We got all's good here, thanks. Who's the manufacturer of those 15 millimeters? Three different manufacturers. I've got Old Glory, of course. That's my go-to model. Blue Moon and 19th Century. I think that's what they're called. Let me make sure that I'm not misspeaking, because I don't like those figures at all. Okay, 19th Century Miniatures are the ones that own Old Glory. Rank and File, maybe? Quality Castings? Battle Honors. Oh, maybe it's Rank and File. Give me a second. I'm going to... Rank and File, Middle Ages. Foot. Dismounted Knights. I think that's who they are. I think it would be Rank and File, Dismounted Knights. And there's no picture on the website. And that would be good, because those figures suck. I normally shop at the Old Glory website. I picked up Quality Castings, Battle Honors, Old Glory. All those models are nice models. But that Rank and File just, they blow, right? Blue Moon, awesome. They're the best. I would say Blue Moon, Old Glory, Rank and File. These guys are Perry 28th. Rank and File. Yep, you got it. That's right. They are not good. They look like... That's right, no photos on their website. Exactly. They look like robots. Or elves. Or some kind of fantasy knight. Um, that's the same pose. I'm trying to find some really egregious ones to make it so you can like really see. Yeah, this is it. Let me adjust the focus a little bit. It's already 12:30. Oh my gosh. We're going to be ending the stream here after I do this one recording. Advanced. Focus. Turn auto off. I didn't realize it was on. Okay. Just as a quick aside, I have some of the pikemen, quite like them. Okay, the pikemen might look good, but take a look at that model right there. That model, that's a both of those are rank and file knights. That one beside them, that's Old Glory. Kind of see the difference there? There's another rank and file knight. Look at the waistline where that cod piece is located. And their armor is not round. It actually has sharp edges. Okay, he's Old Glory. Or what? Actually, he actually might be Blue Moon. But you can see that's horrible. That knight right there with his sword over his head. Rank and file. I'm sorry, yeah, rank and file. Horrible. To his left and right are Old Glory. That guy right there, Blue Moon. Back to Old Glory. It's knight on the end. Rank and file. Look at that sword. I'm Old Glory. Old Glory. Old Glory. Rank and file. Yeah, look at he, and he's also rank and file. If I hide them inside of a unit, it won't be so bad because their height is about the same. They just look anorexic. All right, guys. So, oh, you see it? Yeah. All right. So I'm going to discontinue the chat just for a second. You can chat all you want, and I'll answer it at the end of the video. But right now, I'm getting ready to start a recording. I started the recording. So, so basically, I'm taking myself out of my headspace and timing. So just kind of ignore me or just listen to the show. All right, here we go. Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I'm coming back at you with another wargaming and miniature video. And in this video, we're going to continue on with our store news update. Now, in this store news update, if you've never been to a store news update, what we do is we touch on 5 different topics. We touch on what I've finished, what I'm currently working on, what kind of supplies I've gotten in for this store, and also what kind of product I got in for sale on the store. And then finally, we talk about a little bit of news, not necessarily in that order. Okay, so let's talk about news first. Victrix purchased Little Big Men Studios decals and banners and stuff like that. And I was afraid that they were only going to be 28 millimeter or 40 millimeter, because when I initially looked, that's all they had available was their 28 millimeter stuff. But a couple of days ago, I got an email saying, we have the Little Big Men Studios decals, which I already knew they did, but let me just, okay. I already knew they did, but now I got an email about it. And so I decided to click on the link and go to the website. And I noticed they had decals, but when you click it, it gives you the option to choose what scale you're looking at. And 15 millimeter was on there, so my hopes were elevated. And then when I looked, they had all the decals on their website that I wanted. Now, a lot of them were out of stock, and I can understand that because they just acquired the company. They hadn't had a chance to purchase print, decals. Like this is a Little Big Men decal, a set for some Romans. I've got others in this pack as well. I swear by them. Little Big Men medieval shields and ancient shield decals, like the Macedonians or the, or whatever's. I could probably even find some medievals and 28s. They even have like banners for dwarves and stuff like that. All that was pretty cool. I also got a company contacted me. It's a company I've not heard of before. They contacted me on whether or not I wanted to do a review of their paint line. And I told them yes, but I haven't received back from them. So there was a company that contacted me to do a review of their dice. They never responded after I said yes. This paint company, they haven't responded. It's only been a couple of days, but I anticipate it's like a phishing thing where they're just trying to see if my email is correct or whatever. I don't know. But I don't know. I just said yes. I don't know. Maybe they're a good company. Maybe they're not. But we'll see. If I get the paint in, I told them I'll definitely paint some models, and I will show off the models, and maybe start carrying their paint line if it's good. Who knows? Okay. News. What other news do I have? I'm looking around the store to see if I got something that's going to spark my news. That's not product or supplies. News that might be important. I know that Old Glory's got, Old Glory 15s anyway, they've got a sale on right now. I think it's anything from the Americas, like Civil War or American War of Independence or French and Indian War, stuff like that. Anything that was done in America, I think they've got a sale on that. Um, Other than that, I don't really have any news. All right, so let's talk about what have I done. Well, in the last couple of weeks, because it's been a couple of weeks since I've done a stream or a recording for Store News, I finished a bunch of 28 millimeter Germans for bolt action. I'm sorry, yeah, for bolt action. Those are for sale, all with a winter theme. So if that's something you're interested in, I've got that up there. And then I did a commission of Belgians and Dutch for a customer. So you can go in and watch that. I uploaded a video showing those off. And those have already shipped. What else have I done? In the last couple of weeks, I think that's it. Just the World War II guys and the Belgians. There was a lot of them. A lot of both, actually. Okay, now let's talk about supplies. This is probably the biggest, well, what am I working on? Okay, I did the what have I finished? What am I working on? Well, you can see right here on the table, I've got some medieval knights that I'm currently working on. These are Perry going up for the store, but these are not going on the store. This is my personal 100 Years War collection. These are going to go in the English and the French armies that I'm currently working on. I dedicated January and February to my 100 Years War project and got interrupted a little bit for the commissions, which I don't mind, because that's money in my pocket. So I prefer that actually. So I got the commissions out of the way, and then I went back to the 100 Years War project. But I said to myself, if I'm going to be working on my 100 Years War project nights, I could probably grab some of my Perrys. I still got about another 20 Perrys, but I could actually, yeah, I got about 5 V and V that I still need to assemble, and I thought about doing them on a live stream. Just doing those on a live stream, because they're going to be a little fiddly because the parts are really small. So, and I got them to see if they were any good, because V&V has offered me they've offered me a partnership so that I could order from them and stock in my store. But I told them I didn't want to do that until I had an opportunity to actually see their models and see how good they are, because I don't want to carry anything in my store that is crap, right? Everything in my store I would gladly play with, except for those rank and files. But I am going to play with them, but I'm not going to order any more of them. I'm going to tell you that. I need to put a red flag somewhere that tells me don't order rank and file. But so my next group of knights that I put together will probably include V&V models, and I think I want to record that because I think people want to know. And if you've never heard of V&V, it's the first initial of the two owners. They're actually in Ukraine. Not Kiev, they're in Kherson, I think. Or, yeah, I think they're in Kherson. But they do like resin 3D prints, but they also do metal models now. That's a new thing. And so I might order some metals. I don't have any metals from them. I've got these 3D prints, but they're super, super fiddly. Like the sword arm well, actually, the sword is separate from the sword arm. You got to glue that on, and then you got to glue the arm on, and then you got to glue the head, and the body comes in a front and a back, and then you got legs. I don't know if I got to glue the left leg and the right leg. I don't remember, but there was just like 100 parts for one night, and it was ridiculous. So I've been putting that off. I put that off for a couple of months now, actually. But I have those, and I'm ready to maybe add them to the store. We'll see. We'll see. They look, the pictures of the V&V models look really good. The resin casting, when I looked at them, they look very clean. Like there's no, I'm not going to have to clean them, which is really good. But they're made with like an ABS plastic, so I don't think I can use model cement. I might be able to use plastic weld, but I'll probably just wind up using super glue because it works on everything. Okay, enough of that. So I'm working on these knights, and I'm working on these Perry knights for sale, skirmish 1-inch squares or circles. And that's all I'm working on right now. All right, so the next topic would be supplies for the store. Okay, I got in a lot of supplies. I don't know if I'm going to overlook something or not overlook something, but I got these plastic clamshell peg hook containers that you would see a figure in. You'd put some foam, put a figure in it. I've got a bunch of those, but I got them because when I sell a figure on eBay, which is where my store is, when I sell a figure, instead of putting it in a giant box, I could put it in one of these clamshells and put that clamshell inside of a envelope, which is what I've been doing with other clamshells that I saved. I don't have a clamshell here to show you, but it's basically, you buy a Warlord model, it has that little plastic, thing, that's a clamshell. I got a whole set of those now, and they would hold like 2 or 3 models, and with a little bit of foam, and everything would be good. Okay, maybe not a pikeman, not a 28 millimeter pike. Well, maybe. Now I'd probably have to box those anyway. Okay, so I got those clamshells. I got in shelving, like you can see back here, all these shelves. I got in a bunch of those. I only had 7 a year ago, but now I've got, I don't know how many, 20 of them. And each one of those drawers is a different product that I sell, like 28 millimeter Ancients or 28 millimeter World War II, 15 millimeter 100 Years of War, etc. That way, if you order it and I need to find it, I can just pull the drawer. Everything's good. Okay, so I got those. What else did I get? I got some other things. I'm trying to remember what I got. I got in some texture paste from MIG. MIG Ammo makes this mud that is, they call it dark mud. And it's probably the best mud I've used, or it's on par with the Vallejo European mud. The Vallejo European mud has got a consistency that's really thick, and it's got like somebody went out there, mowed their grass, and sprinkled some of the grass flakes in there, so it gives it kind of an underbrush kind of feel, but it's coated with mud, so you don't really get to see that. But when you put it on your models, it really disguises, this is the Vallejo, really disguises their natural base, right? So you get more of a gentle slope. But the MIG mud, it's a little bit thinner, but when it dries, first of all, it comes out of the tub gray, which is disconcerting. But then when you put it on the model and you let it dry, it actually dries brown, which I don't know how that chemical reaction works, but it looks really good and it looks wet. Like it's got a shine to it of like wet mud, not just dried mud, which the Vallejo one looks like. So I like it if you want wet mud, it looks good. But if you want dried mud or you need a filler, the Vallejo one works. So I think both of those are good. So because I ordered that and it works really good, especially for my 100 Years War guys, I'm putting wet mud on them because I like the look of like the Agincourt after the day of rain, or the week of rain, or however long it rained, and the muddy fields that the French cavalry had to get through. I think it works for those guys. Plus, I throw some grass on there, and it just looks good. Because it looks so good, I decided I was going to order a second different color. So I ordered light earth. It's not even mud. It's just light earth. But they've got this sand. They've got this. Wait, I don't think I ordered light earth. I think I ordered Vietnam. But they've got various colors. And the light earth. I've got some paint over here. The light earth kind of looks like this color, which I was thinking, to me, that's probably a little bit darker, lighter than I wanted. But they have this Vietnam color, which looks like this. I think I ordered the Vietnam. So we'll see when that comes in. I also ordered some paint from Vallejo, about 5 bottles of various colors that I was going to need anyway, because I'm getting pretty thin on a couple of colors. So I ordered them, and when I went to order them, they had some new colors. They were specifically they're blue. I was going to order dark blue because that's what I put on all my Napoleonic French and Belgians and all those guys that wear the French dark blue jackets. But they had a color called, it's got a different name to it, but next to it it said new color. And I was like, and I think they call it uniform blue. I think they call it uniform blue or something like that. That's a color I've never seen before. I just ordered it. I said, well, let me get that. That might be exactly what I need. So it might not be. And if it's not, no big deal. And I also ordered just dark blue like I normally would. But I ordered this uniform blue because I'm hopeful. Plus, if it's a different shade of blue, nothing wrong with having another shade of blue available to paint. But there was about 5 of those colors. I don't remember all the ones, but some of them were flesh colors. I particularly don't like the Vallejo flesh colors. I actually like the Army Painter and the AK flesh colors the best. I don't even like the MIG flesh that I got. It's way too light. But if I ever need to lighten up a flesh, I can always put a drop of the MIG in there and be good to go. I don't know. I'm always struggling with flesh colors. I want something that's perfect, So I ordered the mud and these paints. I think I ordered a primer, right? I know, because these brush primers, this gray brush primer is awesome, but if you remember, or maybe you don't remember this, on these guys, I painted the gray, but then had to go in after the fact and put brown on them, right? So what I wanted was brown primer, so I could do it all in one step. So that's what I ordered. I know I ordered a brown. I think it might be a, yeah, I know it's a brown, but I don't remember which brown it is. But either way, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's just another primer I'm going to have available. All right, so there's probably a couple of others that I'm not sure in that order, but then I have two more other orders. I've got a war bases order out. I've got some war bases that I'm getting in, mainly to restock all the war bases that I've either used or sold. I'm getting more of those in because I love me some war bases. These round 1-inch circles is war bases. Plus they have some movement trays. I have some movement trays. I haven't put them together. I haven't painted them or worked with them at all. I want to do a video painting and putting those together, right? And then using them. But I ordered a couple of different ones that I don't have, mainly for Oathmark. I keep ordering these movement trays for Oathmark, but then I haven't really played or put anything together for Oathmark other than skeletons and orcs. And those are all on sale, so that's, I don't know. But I got some trays. I looked at their buildings, and they got nothing new. They have some fantasy figures. Don't really want to order any of those. So I just got some bases that I'm replenishing my bases. And I got a third order out. It's with Fighting 15. Okay, Fighting 15 does Napoleonic flags the way I like. They are awesome. They have something called Epic 15s now, which would work with your Warlord Games Epic, but that just makes them 10 millimeter or 13 millimeter. And that's not what I need. I need 15. So I have to go to their traditional, their normal flags. And I think I ordered 4 core, don't slap me, 4 core of the Prussian flags. It's flags for every unit in those 4 core by battalion. So that's like a bunch of flags. But then I ordered some Dutch Belgian flags because I used my personal flags on the commission that I did on those Dutch Belgians, knowing that I could always just reorder the Dutch Belgians. So I did. I reordered the Dutch Belgians for me, and the French, I ordered some Guard French flags for Fighting 15. They make the best flags. One reason why I love the Fighting 15s, you can buy them by unit. So, and it's usually like 2 divisions worth on a page. So if a corps has like 4 divisions, what they'll do is they'll put First Corps Part 1 and First Corps Part 2. And then when you look at them, you can see that they've got all the flags for all the battalions for 1st Division, all the flags for 2nd Division. And then over here, they got 3rd and 4th Division, or however it works. They've got, if a corps has like a cavalry division, they'll have cavalry flags with the infantry flags. If they've got attachments or something. So, and luckily enough, I love Waterloo, and they've got a whole section of units that are at Waterloo. It's a couple of pages worth, and they got all the British, all the French, Nassau, Brunswick, Dutch Belgian, everything you need is in that Waterloo section, and that's where I go. I go there and I go Picton's division, boom, and I get it. Or I go, I need the Brunswickers. I click it and I get it. And what's cool about that is, which sometimes they'll put in a flag that is hypothetical. And it'll say right underneath the flag, this flag was not flown by this unit, but if they flew a flag, this is the one it would be. Or we're not sure what flag this one unit carried, so we provided you with this flag, and it's a possibility they might have carried this. So they straight up say, we don't know, which I appreciate that. And then if there's not, let me back up. If there's enough room on the side of their page, they'll have like a little write-up. It'll say, like Picton arrived on this day with this many men, and he conducted a battle doing this and that, and you could learn a little history on the Fighting 15s. I can't swear highly enough of those guys. I saw the Prussians. I knew that I wanted to start doing some Prussians. I haven't yet, but I know it's in my future. It's not at Quatre Bras, because I'm trying to do Quatre Bras first, and then I'll branch out to Waterloo. But the Prussians are like low on my list. But I said, what the hell, let me get them. So I got them. And I don't know, maybe somebody out there in the universe is going to need a 15mm Prussian unit, and now I'll have flags available for them. But they have Russians and Austrians and Westphalians, and they've got everything for Napoleonics. I wish they had American War of Independence, because if they did, I'd be getting my flags from them and not GMB. Even though I love GMB flags, they look really good, but sometimes they're inaccurate. Specifically, the Brunswickers, I know they're inaccurate because, especially their 28mm flags, you'll get a dark red flag with like the black cross on it, and then on the other flag you'll get a dark red flag with a white cross, and they're saying that one is the lead fanion and one is the unit fanion, and that's not correct, because when you do the research and you look at the flags, one is red and the other one should be like green. Sometimes it's like that. Or other times they should be like red and white, or red and red, but the crosses should be different colors. So GMB flags look good, but they're not always accurate. So I avoid them unless I need to use them. Their British flags are awesome. Their French flags are top notch. Okay, but I ordered some Fighting 15s, I ordered some war bases, and I ordered some paint type supplies. Okay, so that's part of my supplies. I don't need to order any boxes or tape or anything else, but I did order those clamshells. I've already got them in. And that's pretty much it. I considered ordering flock. I said, I want to get some more of this flock. And then I thought to myself, I don't need to get any more flock. I've got probably somewhere close to 20 different tubs of flock. I don't need any more flock. I don't plan to be working on a table size. That's why I got that much flock. But I don't plan on working on a table size terrain map anytime soon. Don't need that. All right. So now, product. Last but not least, product. Well, these 28mm medieval knights. They're going up on the store in a couple of days once I get them finished. Also, I have just received, they're already up on the store, an Old Glory 15s order, which I would say 75% of it was American War of Independence. Nope. American Civil War. I ordered a bunch of American Civil War, and I'm going to admit this to you guys. I don't play American Civil War. If I want to play a rank and file type game where you got lines of guys shooting at lines of guys, I will play American War of Independence or Napoleonics. The American Civil War, with their bland colors, blue, gray, a little red thrown in for the Zouaves, it just doesn't appeal to me. There's not enough variety. In AWI, all the Continental units are all different colors. The British are all the same color, but I can get over that. But you got Brunswickers, you've got Hessians of various types. The American War of Independence, the Continentals, you've got New Yorkers and the guys from Maine and Maryland and Pennsylvania and all these others, and they're all wearing different, and let's not forget Rhode Island, and they all are wearing different colors. I like that. So American War of Independence, Napoleonics, Civil War is just too, first of all, it's too high tech, because American Civil War was after Napoleonics. It was a period where you had Gatling guns, you had rifled cannons and breech loaders and a variety of other things that I don't really want to get involved in. That just wasn't, never a period that interested me. World War II, I can get into that. But because I know there's a lot of people in the world that love Civil War, I said, I'm going to order some Civil War. I'm going to put it in the store because I'm catering to my audience, not to me personally. So I said, even though 99% of my store is things that I would put on the table, that American Civil War stuff is the only thing in my store that I personally would not. Now, would I sit down in a game and play a game of Civil War? Yes, I would. If a buddy of mine had an army, or we go to a convention and he says, "Hey, I want to play this Antietam battle. You want to join in?" I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, it sounds fun. Let's do it." But I wouldn't collect those models, and I don't want to paint a bunch of blah units. So, yeah, they had some variety in colors, but not enough. Nothing that really floated my boat. You don't have cavalry charges. That doesn't really happen in the Civil War. It can, but not really. There's no squares. Nobody forming a square in the Civil War. Cavalry ride up to, basically they're mobile infantry. They ride up someplace and dismount. Which is kind of cool, but still not enough to draw me in. Okay. Yeah, so that order I got in is 75% Civil War. And the rest of it is stuff I normally would carry. 100 Years' War, American War of Independence, Napoleonics, filling some gaps, right? I just sold a bunch of models today, a bunch of Dutch Belgians to a customer, and when I pulled that drawer out and pulled the Dutch Belgians out, I was like, oh crap, I'm down to just a little bit left. So my next Old Glory order will probably have Dutch Belgians just to refill that drawer. But right now, not so much. Okay, what else did I get in? Not just the American War of Independence. I'm sorry, the Old Glory order. I got another order in, I think. I think I got something else in. for sale. Okay, I got some tanks in. I got some 28 millimeter armored vehicles and some bags of infantry from Old Glory Miniatures. They're not Old Glory 15s. This is Old Glory Miniatures. They sell West Wind, and West Wind has a line called Berlin or Bust. And these models are really good models. The tanks are like resin and metal. I got a bunch of those in. So if you're looking for that, I've got those on there. And I got some Warlord game stuff in too. I got the new bolt action. I've got a bunch of like anti-tank guns and howitzers and stuff like that. They're in there like little blisters. But I didn't get any units in like paratroopers or Fallschirmjägers or anything like that because basically I got in the West Wind guys and I didn't want to double up. Even though I know that Warlord Games makes some really good models. And as a second note, I got the West Wind Berliner Bust models because they're metal. The infantry are metal, and I prefer metal over plastic. And if I wanted to paint them, I could just pull a bag out, wash them, soap and water, prime them, and get going, right? So, and that's why I got them. I got some Russians, I got some British, American, and German. Yeah, I did get that. I even got a crab, a Sherman crab, which is the anti-mine clearing chains on a wheel in the front. I got that vehicle in, and it's not under their vehicles. It's under their infantry. I was scanning through the infantry, and I got to the end of the list, and it had that crab tank, and I was like, that crab tank is not infantry. But I ordered it anyway. Because I thought it'd be a cool model to put together and then put on the store. But it's unpainted, still in the bag, for sale. And that's it. Okay, let's recap real quick. What did I finish? Some commissions and some German 28 millimeter. What am I working on? The Medieval Knights, later medieval plus. These guys are more of your Agincourt 100 Years of War type knights. These guys are probably more of your War of the Roses. Supplies, I got clamshells and mud. That's pretty much it. I don't remember what else I might have mentioned. Product. I got in the West Wind World War II stuff. I got in I got war bases coming in. I got something, yeah. Okay, something else. I'm glad I was doing a recap. I did get my Beretta order in for the medieval tents, the 15 millimeter medieval tents. I did get those in, and I got 3 campsites worth of tents. So I can put 3 medieval campsites together. One for my Burgundians, one for my French, and one for my English. Those will be really quick to do. There's only like 6 tents and maybe a few camp followers or villagers in the tent area. Maybe a cow or a sheep or something like that. And I have all that available. So I might put that in there and make 3 campsites. That actually might be the next thing I do. Because I want to try to get it done before the end of the month. At the end of the month, I'm going to switch to my Napoleonics, working on what I already have, and then painting American War of Independence. News, we got a sale at Old Glory 15s, and Victrix is now carrying little big men. And I have an account with Victrix where I can start carrying those little big men in the store, because I have sold quite a bit of those, specifically the 28 millimeter stuff. So like for Numidians and for Macedonians and stuff like that. So I might get in some of those because now I can get those wholesale. But that might be something I do next month. I'm tight on cash right now, to be honest. I'm kind of holding off on doing any more ordering because sales were actually down. I think it said I was down 12% this month of February. And so that's put a little pinch on my purchasing power. But as I make sales and as I build my cash flow back up a little bit, I think I'm gonna get a Victrix order in. My Victrix product is still, I would say I'm about middle of the pack. Like normally I carry about 30 bags of Victrix, maybe more, maybe 40. I'm doing kind of math in my head. I'm thinking I do about 40 bags of Victrix, and I'm down to about 20 right now. So I need to restock my Victrix. Plus, Victrix is coming out with a bunch. Victrix has announced a World War II line, and I'm way excited, super excited to start carrying the Victrix World War II guys. All I've seen is some renders of their models, and they look really good. Plus, the bag, they offer like a German bag of guys, and it comes with more than just infantry, like straight up riflemen. It comes with guys with submachine guns, Panzerfausts, MG42s on tripods, Panzer Shreks. It's got some paratroopers. It's got some regular infantry. Now, I would suspect that they would have a different bag for each type of thing you're getting, but it looks like you don't. It looks like just by German infantry and you get all of that stuff. And it looks like you're going to get like 40 models. And I think it's going to be awesome. They're not out yet, but as soon as they are, I think I'm going to put an order in for those. And then I'll put an order in for some little big men shields or decals with them. But if it happens before my cash flow improves, I might have to wait. You know, that's something that, and I hope you guys would enjoy those, because I think they'd be great for bolt action. I have bolt action. I have third edition. I have not cracked it open. I do not know what's inside. I think the book that I think it's shrink wrapped. I have a couple of them. I think I need to crack one open and read it and maybe make a video of what changed. Because I did a first edition bolt action boot camp of how to play bolt action. And then when bolt action 2 came out, I did a video saying this is what's changed. And I think I need to do a bolt action 3 video that says what has changed. Plus, Hail Caesar, I think, is coming out with a new edition. Unfortunately, even though I love Hail Caesar, or maybe Black Powder. Maybe Hail Caesar. Or maybe both. And I saw that there, now this is just an anecdote, that gut feeling. They've kind of discontinued pushing Gates of Antares. I'm noticing that Skytrix is really pushing Gates of Antares, and I think they might have picked up the license for them. I think Warlord is only selling what they have remaining in their inventory until it's all sold out. Because about a year ago, I heard something through the grapevine that Gates of Antares was going to get a second edition. They were going to fix some things that needed to be fixed. That never came to being. I don't think Warlord should bother with all their fantasy lines. You know, like Slain and Zombicide and all these esoteric games. I think they should focus on their historicals. I know they're trying to broaden their horizons and stuff. And I'm going to say it once again. I wish they didn't do Epic. I don't mind the Epic rules. I don't mind the Epic game in general. It's actually an awesome game. And I don't even mind having units of strips of figures that are all shoulder to shoulder. I don't even mind that. What I mind is they're not 10 mil and they're not 15 mil. They're halfway in between. You can't use your 10 mil figures with Epic and you can't use your 15 millimeter figures with Epic. You have to use their 13 millimeter figures. They did that on purpose, so it was proprietary, and that kind of soured my opinion of Warlord, because they started to do a Games Workshop style. You have to use our models if you want to play this game. I didn't like that. If they had done a 15 millimeter, because when Epic first came out, they advertised it as 15 millimeter. But then when you got the miniatures in your hand, you realized they were about a head shorter than a 15 millimeter model. But if they had honestly, truly made them 15 millimeter, I would have gobbled that game up like crazy, because I know that I could have used my metal 15s and rebased them for Warlords games and played Epic. And if I needed a specific unit, or if I wanted the strips of rows of guys, I could get the Epic models, but I can't, because they're the wrong scale. And I'm not changing scales. Plus, they were very limited on what you could get. Right now, it's pretty much only Waterloo. They don't have like Russians or Austrians, or I know they're branching out and they're gradually expanding their line, but I don't want to be forced to just use their figures. That's it. All right, guys. Well, I think I went over everything with you on the store news update. I know it was a rather long one, and it's been a while since I did one of these, but look forward to me back in March doing a store news update. Oh, last thing, news for the store itself. It's a store news update. Why don't I talk about the store? I have a sale going on right now, 2 of them. One of them is if you order $50 or more, you get free shipping. Okay, that's good, right? But what's great is I've got a buy more, save more sale going on right now, where everything is 10% off. Everything in the store, 10%. But if you order 2 items, it's 15% off. If you order 3 items or more, everything is 20% off. So if you're looking for something and you want to save the most, first of all, if it's like an $11 model on Old Glory's website, I might list it as $10.50 just to get the interest. And then now you got 10% on top of that, and then or 20% on top of that. So that's like another $2, little $2.10, something like that, off of 10. So you're looking at paying like $8 for something that would normally be 11. So that's pretty good. Plus, if you order 5 of them or something like that, you get free shipping. So yeah, those are the sales that are going on right now. All right, guys. I know, and that buy more, save more sale, I think ends at the end of the month. So jump on that, and I will catch you in the next video. All right, let me stop this recording. There we go. I'm still streaming. All right, guys. It is 1:30 here. That means I've been streaming for 3.5 hours. I'm going to be moving on to other colors later. I meant to say something about my channel that I kept beating around the bush. I said something about Skyrim. Like I wanted to jump back into Skyrim. Oh, wait, Golf, I see you say, hi, buddy. Those look good. Appreciate you. And Barnes, what are you saying? Skytrex is a sister company of Warlord. Been for quite a few years. Oh, okay. Well, that would explain. They kind of pushed their stuff off to Skytrex. Skytrex carries a bunch of lines that are not Warlord, though. I love my Skytrex decals. They've got some good World War II 15mm decals. Okay, so Skyrim. I played Skyrim up to about level 20, maybe 30, something like that. I only got about halfway through. I want to finish it, but I'm going to tell you when, and this is going to lead into my next little comment. When I was playing, I was applying mods. Like I didn't want the vanilla graphics. I wanted it to be 4K. You know, I would change the grass and the trees and the snow, and some of the stuff broke this one town. I think it was called Winterfell or Winterheim or something like that. It's where the Magic College is. Some of the buildings got broke, specifically the inn. You couldn't go into the inn because the door was broken, or if I was able to get into the inn, the floor was at chest high, and you're walking around, and you couldn't get into some of these other doors because the floor was in the way, and there was a whole lot of. You couldn't get to the back of the place because there was a ghost wall right there in the middle. I messed it up. That was me messing it up. And I got frustrated, unable to finish a bunch of my quests, and I quit that game. Probably 6 months ago. I quit it. And I said, if I'm not playing this game, and I broke it, and I'm not going to be going back to it, let me just delete everything. So I deleted the game. I didn't delete the mods. They were still in a mod folder on my hard drive. About 3 or 4 days ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to play this game, and I'm going to try to finish it. But I said, oh, I deleted it, so I'm going to have to start from scratch. Okay, well, this is going to be a good opportunity for me to delete all the mods. So I deleted all the mods, every one of them. And so I said, okay, I want there to be a beautiful game. I don't want it to be 2005 or 2006 graphics. I want it to be 2020 plus graphics. So I went through and I started modding the game. I reinstalled it and I started using Vortex. That's what I'm using to mod the game. And I started adding mods. But consciously, I know that if I do something, if I do too much, or if I do the wrong thing, I'm going to break it again. So I said to myself, let me limit the mods so that it's only exactly what I want and not a bunch of this other stuff that I was just slapping on there just to make it cool, right? So, like, I want there to be weather. I want there to be, I want the flora, the trees and the grass and all that, I want that to look good. I want the towns to look good. I don't want to break this Winterheim, right? So I'm being careful on which mods I'm applying. Armor sets and stuff like that. I'm kind of looking at that saying, okay, they've got this set called Immersive Armors. It looks a little less fantasy and more actual medieval, Dark Ages. I'm digging it. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm digging it, but I installed it. And I got some followers. I installed them. These are people I can meet along the way and get them to join my party, right? I picked a few of them out. And this is funny. I don't make these followers, right? 99% of the followers are women. If you're going to make a follower, you make a woman. Very few of them make guys. There are a handful of those. And out of the 99, or out of all the women, which is something like 250 of them that are just girls, out of the 300, or maybe it's 265 or something like that. But out of the women, half of them have bodies that are, what's the word I'm looking for? Unrealistic. You know, you got 44 triple Ds. You know, you got hips that are wider than their shoulders. You know, half of the girls have bodies that are ridiculous looking. I'm like, that was probably made by a Japanese guy, or it was made by some incel somewhere. So I tried not to pick those followers. I looked at some followers and I said, like this one follower, I was like, damn, she is, like, he did really good work on her face and hair and body. She looks really good. But I didn't pick her because it said that she would do NSFW, right? Not safe for work activities. And unfortunately, I want to stream this, and I can cut the stream, or I can look away, or I can do whatever, but there's a chance that she'll be doing something in the corner, maybe with one of my male followers or something, and then I'll glance over there and it'll be forever captured, even if it's only 1 second or 2 seconds, on my stream. And I can't have that. So I said, not going to install her. Even though she's really nice, she levels with me, and they say she has inappropriate language, and that she has because she's the daughter of the I don't know if you're familiar with Skyrim, but there's a god called Dibella. She is the love god. She's the one that spreads as much love around the world, but she's apparently a daughter of her, and so she's trying to do that. I don't need that. So I find some healers and some warriors and stuff like that that aren't inappropriate or whatever, because I don't want my stream to be banned or get a strike or whatever it's called. So I'm being careful. And then there's a few more mods that I want to add before I get started, which I might actually do tonight. Like at midnight when I do my Star Citizen streams after midnight, I might alternate or rotate in some Skyrim. I might do a Skyrim after midnight, do a couple hours of Skyrim, and then switch to maybe a couple hours of Star Citizen, or something like that. I wanted to do like a variety show. I might even I thought about this. I might even do some World War II dogfighting. I don't know, but mainly Skyrim, and I have to start over from scratch. And tonight is going to be my first video, Skyrim, heavily modded, but selectively heavily modded. There's one that even has an alternate start, which I think would be really cool. But I've only played Skyrim. I've only played Skyrim once, and that's not really true. I played once when it first came out, but I played to like maybe level 10 or something like that. I didn't really play it much. And then about a year ago or so, I played Skyrim a lot, and I played it up to about level 30, and it was super enjoyable. But I got to a part where some missions were broken and some towns were broken, so I could continue, but it would be more difficult. So I got frustrated with it, ended the stream, ended the videos, said no more of this. But it's always been in the back of my mind, like, I really want to finish that game. I want to get to the end. I want to get to at least the rebellion. I heard there was a rebellion about halfway through the game. I never got that far. I also was recording it and then editing it and then uploading it. And I would play for 2 or 3 hours, and I would edit out things like sex scenes or whatever that my followers might get involved in. I edited that out, and it was easy to do because I could go frame by frame and I could edit it out. But it takes 3 hours of gaming and then like 6 hours of editing for like a 1 hour video or something like that, or a 2 hour video. And when I go to render it, because you got to record it, then you got to edit it, then you have to render it, and then you have to upload it. And the game was like, I would play like 3 hours a night. Then I would edit it for like 6 hours. And then I would render it, which would take another 2 hours probably. Maybe one or 2 hours. And then I would have to upload it, which only took like maybe 30 minutes to an hour. But still, all of that was like my entire waking hours. But this time, I'm going to live stream it, so I don't have to upload it. I don't have to render it. I don't have to edit it. I don't have to do any of that. I just have to play it. Because if you play it while live streaming, it automatically goes into my live folder. It's already there at max graphics. Now, nothing is edited out. And because of that, I have to be careful about the followers I pick and some of the content. There's some temples and stuff that you can get that might not be safe. So I'm trying to be as safe as possible, age friendly. Now I could label the video not safe for work or whatever, but that's going to restrict who watches it and how much interaction I get with an audience or a crowd or anything like that. Now, what I don't want is people trying to tell me, I don't like this on any of my games. When I'm playing Star Citizen, I'm playing IL-2 or War Thunder or Skyrim or whatever, I don't like people in my chat trying to tell me how to play. Like, as an example, oh, you should be a stealth archer because that's the best class. Or, you should go to this temple because it's got this best sword. Or, you should interact with this one NPC because if you do, it opens up this whole nother quest line that's really a cool quest line to go down. I appreciate them just trying to help me. I get that. But they've just ruined the game for me. I want to find that sword in that temple on my own. I want to find or meet this NPC on my own. I don't want you to tell me. I want it to be a surprise. I want to get to that NPC and say, hey, how are you doing? Hey, would you go do this for me? And I'll be like, okay, let me go do that. And then all of a sudden it opens up this whole nother quest line. And I'm like, damn, I went down a rabbit hole. That's what I want. I don't want people telling me, oh, you should go do this because of this. I hate that. And then I don't like people trying to tell me how to play. Like, you should use archery because it does more damage than a sword. Or if you stealth, you can really do this. And stealth is the meta, and that's what everybody's doing. I don't want to do that. I want to play the way I want to play. And that's what I'm afraid of with live streaming. Star Citizen, I get a little bit of that. Not as much, because I already know everything there is to know about Star Citizen. I've been playing since 2014. But they come to me and they say, how come you're using that ship when you could be using this ship? Or if you go to this bunker, you'll get this kind of weapon because it drops 100% of the time and it's an awesome gun. Or, you know, you should take this type of mission, or you should do this, or you should do that. I don't like that. Now, I don't mind people asking questions like, hey, why are you using that ship? Okay, I get that. That's fine. But don't follow it up by, because you should be. That's what I don't like. Or if they say, why is your ship flying upside down? That's a reasonable question. Because I'm stupid and I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, that's fine. That's a good answer. But, or, hey, I saw you get shot in the face. That sucks. Yeah, that sucks. But not, hey, if you use this helmet, you'll never get shot in the face. I don't want that kind of comment. I don't want know-it-alls. If that's what you, if that's a question, if that's a topic. I'm getting really hungry. I need some lunch, but I also want to finish them. But I also want to make sure I got all the mods installed for tonight's game of Skyrim. So I've got to juggle. I'll probably do some modding, and then I'll probably do some painting. These guys right here, the Parries, it doesn't matter what color I'm using because I'm selling them as basically a generic knight, right? These guys matter because they're going into a specific army, English or French. Some of these are attaching to my English longbow as men-at-arms, and I want their colors to be kind of matching. So I'm going to have to get my English men-at-arms out and then mark each of these popsicle sticks with a, these are the colors that I want you to use. I probably could get a 3x5 and just do it that way, but I don't know how I'm going to do it. But I am going to break them up, and some of them are going to be French. Plus, I've got some decals. I got to figure out which decals I'm going to use, because I think I've got enough to do all, at least half of the shields. And if I don't do all the shields, I'll paint some of my own heraldry on the shield. It's not hard. All I got to do is solid color or split it in half vertical or split it in half horizontal or diagonal. So that's like 20 colors right there, because blue, red, green, yellow, white, black even. Yeah, there's 2 metals, white and yellow. And how many colors are there? Green, blue, red. Green, blue, red. I think that's all the colors. And then black is neither. It's a neutral. Yeah, so I think I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to do on these guys, is go generic. These guys are going to be unit based. I probably should go check the mail to see if I got any of those 3 shipments in. Plus, it's getting ready to be a new month in like 3 days, 4 days, something like that. So I need to get all my brushes. These, I came up with this idea that these are the brushes that I've used this month, right? Plus, these over here I'll add to this. But these are the brushes. These are the only brushes I need to clean. In the past, I've been cleaning like all my brushes every month. And if I don't touch a brush, it doesn't need to be cleaned. But the ones that I've used and I continue to use, I need to clean them. And this next cleaning, I'm going to use boiling water to start. So I'm going to boil water. That should loosen up all the bristles. It should loosen up the paint. And then I will use Magic Potion. All right, I plan to use that to clean the bristles and get most of the paint, any paint residue. There's not going to be a whole lot of paint residue because as I use my brushes, I wash them in soap and water. And but just to keep them alive, I use the Magic Potion. And then once the Magic Potion is dry, I'll go back to soap and water and I'll wash off any of the acid that this is off of the brush. And then I'll use Magic Gel, right, to reestablish their point. And then once I've reestablished their points, they're done. I just put them away. These here are unused, never before used brushes. And then these are brushes that I might or might not have used. Some of these guys are super old. Some of these guys are like dry brushes or primer brushes that some of them might need to be cleaned. I'll have to, I think this one needs to be cleaned. There might be a couple of them in there. I might have put it back in there. It's possible. Geek Squad. That's me. Okay. All right. So let me eat. Let me mod. Let me paint. And you might actually see me again tomorrow afternoon or morning. Just depending on how much sleep I get. Because I'm planning to be up at midnight. All right, guys. And I noticed that my stream actually, I didn't, oh, there's a lot of dropped frames. but it looks green and it's at 13,000 kilobytes. So that means it should have been a pretty smooth and steady stream. Should have been. All right, guys. Well, I will catch you in the next one. You guys have a great rest of your day.